Bobby, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Al Unser Jr., they can go the distance without stopping. One other thing to remember, go back to Milwaukee, post-race interview with young Robbie Gordon. One of the things that he talked about was his aggressive nature from 1994, and that this year, after not winning the Indianapolis 500, he said, I would not go after a win, I would rather go after the points. That's Walker Racing's strategy. Lynn St. James, what's the condition on Robbie Gordon's car vis-a-vis fuel mileage?
Fuel mileage is fine. In fact, they said they do not have to stop again. And I mean, the aggression, the controlled aggression that he had on the racetrack was just demonstrated, but his aggression coming out of the pits was also demonstrated because he got out of here just ahead of Scott Pruitt, which is really keeping him ahead of Scott Pruitt on the record as well. The Gordon crew had 2 pit stops, both 11 seconds. And I also know with Scott Pruitt that they are getting excellent fuel mileage. They're excellent tire wear, and they know they can go the distance as well. So we've got 2 cars out there that are just in fine shape.
All right, let's take a look at the top 6 in this field then. Tracy has not yet stopped. Michael just stopped. Robbie Gordon stopped 4 laps ago. Stefan Johansson has not stopped for 27, back at lap 27. He stopped at the same time Paul Tracy did. Scott Pruitt has just stopped, and Andrew Ribeiro stopped 9 laps ago. So now Paul Tracy, the leader of the race, is on the pit road. Watching very carefully not to break that speed limit.
Boy, that was a bad decision on their part. Paul Tracy should have been in. Now he's going to come out. This is his last stop, and he's going to come out completely behind all these cars, almost taking a chance any chance to win, Paul.
Oh, and he stalls it. Oh, no. Paul Tracy had his chance there.
He shook up.
This is going to be costly.
He shook up. I mean, he's got to be really upset over this decision.
St. James, as he heads back in, what happened there?
Well, he just stalled it, and he was hot. His head was shaking, his fist was moving, and he was really, really upset, which he should be at himself. And I can only add that we're also on the option tire, the harder tire. There were no other changes there.
Well, I wonder really if he's upset at himself or the fact that he was called in while he was in the lead of the race, as this continuing tactic on this marvelous road course run continues to play out.
As we watched Robbie Gordon just go by there, talk by Jack of his pursuing the championship. He lies second. You see, we're riding with him now. He lies second in the championship with 53 points behind Jacques Villeneuve, who has 75 points. But now today, Gordon is running in the front of this race, and Villeneuve is having a bad day, basically his worst day so far in the season. He's running back on 11th and 12th. So this is a real chance for Robbie to close up in that championship.
We mentioned that starting as well, we'd be keeping an eye on Stefan Johansson. Well, it's worked out because he's in second place now behind Robbie Gordon, and he has now, under the yellow, completed the stop that was necessary. And so Stefan Johansson, out of Tony Bettenhausen's team, they put him in a nice position to continue this run as well.
Johansson, when he made his first drive here, his first appearance in IndyCar competition a few years ago, finished 3rd. So this track has been very good to him. It's one of his favorite tracks. I talked to him. He compares it with the great track at Pau in southern France.
We expect the green flag to come out this time around to the new race leader, Robbie Gordon, who picked up the lead on the spot. The stop of Paul Tracy, and you see he's actually 3rd car in the order. That's as a result of all the stops that came under this caution. And now he tries to work his way around Gil de Ferran.
But he's smart. He could have made a desperate lunge, but he kept it under control.
It's possible even Gil de Ferran doesn't know. He might be thinking he's leading right now. But Robbie Gordon is the leader.
And with that stop, by the way, Johansson dropped through the field as he came across the line. The stop was made on the last lap, so the EDS scoring indicated it prior to the green flag coming out, and Johansson's now dropped down in the order to 14th, and Andre Ribeiro is in second place. So we'll take a look at Andre right now. Honda Power. It's Gordon that he should be chasing ahead, though not immediately ahead. And directly behind him is Jimmy Vasser.
You know, another thing you got to remember, little Al, who was leading the race before, didn't come out too good in his pit stops. He's clear back to 7th. Now the reason there's
de Ferran's in trouble.
And Ribeiro pulls out to block Pruitt.
That could be another yellow flag coming up. If it is, it's really going to be interesting here.
This will be a battle for position as Pruitt tries to get around Ribeiro.
Pruitt really wants by Ribeiro. Remember, both these men on Firestone, so there's a kind of rivalry here.
And the early leaders, Michael Andretti and Al Unser Jr. just behind them as they try to get up to the front again. Front position currently occupied by Robbie Gordon. So the tactics and the pit stops have made this a fascinating race.
It's certainly not turned out the way it was planned for some of them. Little Al came out of the pit slow. As you can see him, just went by in the #1 red and white car. Right there you can see him at the top of the screen. Came out in 7th place. Not too good for a Penske pit stop there.
Boy, Scott Pruitt keeps trying him just ahead of Ribeiro there. You see Jimmy Vasser.
Remember that just 2 weeks ago, Vasser led the Indy 500 before he was put out by a crash. Vasser told me the other day he loves driving for Chip Ganassi, his new car owner, because Chip likes to see the car go fast, doesn't really mind or complain when it gets wrecked, as long as it's moving fast when it happens.
So it's Gordon, Vasser, Ribeiro, Pruitt, Michael Andretti. Lynn St. James, you've been keeping an eye on Andrew Ribeiro.
Yes, this team's kind of quiet, but they're really getting very excited, and the jobs, obviously, they said they're racing out there. But, you know, the point is that Andrew Ribeiro came in on lap 32 for fuel, so I would say if we're green the rest of the way, that they won't be able to go the distance. They're not saying anything, but it would be really, really tight.
Well, I think they're probably conserving a little bit because Andrew Ribeiro was just passed and quickly by Scott Pruitt, who darted out and around him, so maybe they have the fuel set down a little bit to try and conserve. That puts Scott Pruitt in direct contact with the second place car of Jimmy Vasser. That's Gugelmin just ahead. He is not on the lead lap. The leader of the race, about 4 seconds ahead of this fight, is Robbie Gordon. Let's go to the pits once again.
Well, a problem for Gilles de Ferran's car. He's come onto pit road, and the report from Jim Hall and company, the owner of the car, is the fact that de Ferran has reported no throttle control. That's not a throttle cable, it's the electronic control that sets the lean or the rich mixture on the car. So they're back into an electronics problem. And one of the things that we've seen in the last couple of years is when you have that kind of a problem, you bring a laptop computer out and download the information.
Boy, and I can look on the front of that yellow car and see somebody's tire marks right on the nose that you're standing by, Jack.
Jimmy Vasser runs in second place. Mauricio Gugelmin in the car in the front, not a factor. They're chasing chasing Robbie Gordon. Al Unser Jr. is back behind Michael Andretti. Jimmy Vasser, I'll tell you what, he can be a lot of fun away from the track as well. We were laughing with him about the fact that he has Joe Montana now as part of the team, sitting up on the scoring stand. He says, yeah, I'm going to have to show Joe a little bit about passing here today.
Vasser from Discovery Bay, California.
Look at little Al Mario coming up now. Trying to get by Gugelmin there.
Whoa, and they all get caught up trying to get around Gugelmin. Al Unser Jr. was right on the back of Michael Andretti in a fight for fourth. And look at Fernandez as he comes in. Fernandez runs in 6th place.
I said Mario, and I meant Michael. I'm so used to seeing Mario in trading in my racing years.
Fernandez in that green and red car is having himself the best race of his year. There he is, center screen. One reason might be that he's planning to move near here, just across the river in Bloomfield Hills. He's going to make his new home.
And Bobby, the Bobby and Mario years, that's ancient history in racing now.
Well, I don't like to think that it is now.
There it is. Fernandez on the inside picks off Gugelmin.
Teo Fabi is the next in position, and then Villeneuve just behind him. That takes you down through your top 8. Marco Greco runs 9th. Emerson Fittipaldi's worked his way back up to 10th. Leader is still Gordon. Fastest lap thus far has been turned by Michael Andretti at 104 miles an hour. Doesn't sound all that fast when you think of 220, 225 at Indy, 230 at Indy. But believe me, on this tight little course, that's hauling.
Yes, it is. It's a fast track, a lot of fast turns, no real long straightaways, and then real sharp turns at the end where guys pass a lot. Look at the front of Fabi's car. That red and white car just went by the look at that, big tire marks on the nose. Got into somebody's rear tire getting its turn with that one.
47 laps are complete, 77 laps the scheduled distance. 161.7 miles, the distance scheduled.
In 3 successive weekends, these drivers go from 230 miles an hour speeds at Indianapolis to 160 on the mile at Milwaukee to just over 100 here on the road course at Belle Isle. A compression of speed, but with the situation changing, it just shows you what great variety this IndyCar series has.
And what versatility you have out of the drivers, that they can move from one to another. Not just the drivers and teams. You think of the drivers, but it's the teams that have to move from a car set up for a super speedway to one that can run on a road course, that one can run on a flat oval.
Sure.
Now we keep an eye on Michael Andretti and Al Unser Jr. This developing into a battle for 4th place. Michael has it right now.
The engineers really earn their money, don't they, Paul?
And then some. And then some. And you consider the round that they've just come off, they're going to get really their first break in over a month. And then they'll go on the road for 4 straight weeks. And that means tearing a car down after every race, putting it back together, and being on to the next place in about 4 days. Remarkable. So 48 laps of 77 complete. Robbie Gordon, the pole sitter, is back at the top of the order. Vassar is second. Tonight on ABC, a special hour of America's Funniest Home Videos as we take a look down from over the track where Parker Johnstone and Eliseo Salazar have gotten together on the course and brought out a full course yellow. This happened about a minute ago. They're both out of the car and they are both okay. And that is going to create, here's the situation that set it up. Salazar lost it while he was being chased by Johnstone and went to the outside at the same time that Parker did. And that caused a wreck for both of them.
And the fire that you saw spring up there was the magnesium that just flash burns like that.
There's Parker Johnstone as he heads back for the pit area. He seemed to be pretty upset about that confrontation. He was running so well. Tonight on ABC, a special hour of America's Funniest Home Videos, followed by Lois and Clark. And then Suzanne Summers in a wonderful movie event based on her own life story, Keeping Secrets. That's all tonight here on ABC. So we're under a full course caution once again. There's Eliseo Salazar. They're obviously both okay. They were running very tight together, and Parker was having just a terrific run. We've had some other indications. Andre Ribeiro apparently is having a gearbox problem. He still runs in 15th, right at the back of the order. There are 15 cars on the leader lap, but once again, our full course yellow, the 5th of the day, slowing this race average speed down and creating a wonderfully tactical situation for the teams trying to stretch fuel to the end. But then there's also those just enjoying the run, eh, Jack Arute?
Well, Paul, actually, it was kind of a little hot and heated down here for a couple of seconds in Ganassi, Montana racing because you guys were trying to come up with some strategy. Now, you were just sitting back watching it all, Joe, and then your co-owner came around and tried to decide whether they should pit or stay out.
Well, I'm not involved in those decisions, thank God. But, you know, he's been around this a long, long time, and he knows a lot. He knows a lot more than I do about it, and I'm just here to root him on, that's all.
Yeah, but Chip, you were telling me before that he's really, the learning curve is a little steep, but he's really picking up on it. And I understand that what you're going to do here now is run the dice out as far as you can. You may not come in.
I'll tell you, Jack, it's shades of Indy all over again. You know, we needed a yellow. We got a yellow here, and we're pretty sure if the moon and the stars and the planets lined up, we're going to be on target and make it to the finish.
Well, I don't understand that one, but let's go to Lynn St. James.
Well, obviously, when we have yellow, sometimes it gives an opportunity for drivers, but for the ones that are in the yellow, cause the yellow, it's a real disappointment. Parker, what happened?
Well, it's not the way we like to get on TV. We've had a real tough weekend, but this morning, Comtech Racing Team put together a great car. We started at the back. We had moved up to 9th place. The good folks at Motorola were supporting us, and they've got a lot of people here, and we're really enthused about this race. And on that last restart, I came up behind Eliseo and tried to make some different moves on him and just couldn't get by. This place is really difficult to pass, and he made a slight mistake coming onto the long pit straight. Not much. I mean, just a bobble, and I got right underneath his gearbox. And I had been going in here pretty deep all day, and I went up underneath him, and he turned in and obviously just didn't see that I had moved underneath him because it's a very fast corner on the racetrack. It's a difficult place not only to pass but to see. So my apologies to he and Dick Simon and all the guys on his team, but it was one of those racing incidents, and we didn't have time to wait, and it's just one of those things that happened, which is unfortunate because all the guys at Comtech and Honda have done a tremendous job, and what a great car I had.
Great racing, trying hard, didn't quite turn out right.
Well, as you know, if it were